from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today I'm very pleased joining me, and I'm excited when I say from the same place where I am in Dubai, Colin Fitzpatrick. So Colin, thank you very much for being here with me today on the show. The way I love to do it is I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves, to do their own intros. So tell us a little bit more about you, your journey and what you're currently up to, and then we're going to take the discussion from there.
Yeah, amazing. So great to connect with you again. For starters, I know we spoke many, many months ago, and I remember the very interesting conversation. So delighted to have it back. Sure. So just a little bit about me. I'm Colin Fitzpatrick. I'm Irish and from Dublin, but like yourself, I live in Dubai. I've been here about 6 years. I suppose I've kind of always lived my life on the edge of technology. I've worked for a lot of the big software companies like Oracle, Salesforce, HubSpot, etc. In 2020, I've always been into crypto as well since about 2016, 2017. Got myself into the business like more properly when I founded my own blockchain business in the metaverse and NFT space around 2021. Built a business there that we were doing concerts in the metaverse and NFTs for celebrities like Snoop Dogg and Alicia Keys, etc. But really, as soon as ChatGPT came out, I thought it was, the most game-changing technology that the world had ever seen. And I said, that's what I want to do. And I've been working fairly solidly in AI since then. Done a couple of different things, built a digital human, like a conversational 3D avatar for customer service and support, which I think is going to be a massive industry, and there's loads of people doing it now. For the last while, I've been building AI agents for Web3 with Griffin AI. So that's what I'm doing right now, which is providing a platform for developers to build, host, and monetize autonomous AI agents that can actually transact on chain. And I'm excited about it because I think AI and AI agents specifically are come along and they're going to solve a lot of the problems around complexity and learning curve in technology, and especially in Web3, because a lot of it is very, very difficult to learn and to onboard to. But agents will come along and just take all those problems away. You know what you want done. The agents will do it and you'll get on with your job. So I write an awful lot on LinkedIn. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, please do. I sort of cover an awful lot of emerging technology, futurism, etc. And yeah, that's just what I'm very passionate about.
Great. And thank you again, Colin, for being here with me today. So it's very exciting times because, just for the audience to know, usually sometime what I do, I speak to my guests like time ahead. And, this time it was quite some while ago when I spoke with Colin. And since then, Colin, a lot of things have changed, both
A
on
lot.
the AI side. But you mentioned something, which stopped me. You said when you saw ChatGPT and everyone talks about the ChatGPT moment. Now we are seeing this moment, almost repeated very, very fast. So I can, mention some and you might help me also. So we had, after ChatGPT, many things happened, but just 2025. So we had this, deep seek moment. We had
Yes.
the Manus moment. And I don't know, like
Correct.
the vibe coding moment. So
Mm.
among all of these, right? So which one stopped you, or like you said, okay, like this is something again that I think, it gonna take us by storm.
Well, okay, I would say yes, people talked a lot about the ChatGPT moment for DeepSeek, okay? And I think it was a very, very important moment, but it wasn't as big as ChatGPT. Manus is just one of the many, many vibe coding, let's call them, application, whereby you just have to tell the AI what you want and it writes the code for you. Now, I am not a software developer, but I do like to keep close to what's happening. And there's many of them. There's Cursor, which is probably the best one. There's Waterfall. There's a bunch more. Um, I would argue that we actually haven't seen the proper ChatGPT moment yet, and I think that's coming this year when it really fully knocks our socks off and takes our breath away with its incredible abilities. Because the people I know that use them, Cursor and ChatGPT, they're very, very good. They automate a lot of the basic tasks, but you still need to be a developer to figure out to build a proper, robust, scalable enterprise class application. That's just not there yet. But I absolutely believe that is coming. You right now I can go into Claude or ChatGPT and I can get it to write a little game like Snake, like was on my first mobile phone, the Nokia 5110, like 20 years ago, whenever it was. And that's pretty remarkable. But the way I always like to describe it is if you look at text to video. So we've seen the ChatGPT moment for text to video is Sora. We had these models that came out like Will Smith eating spaghetti, and you could see it was a video, but it was awful and blah blah blah. And then I come Sora, and it's just like, well, this is indistinguishable from real life, realistically. That was a ChatGPT moment, and many more of them are still coming. So when it comes to this application development, vibe coding, whatever we want to call it, we've made massive strides, but I really believe that we're only scratching the surface. I think for the whole of AI, we're at various different places on the exponential curve. And because of the way AI works, coding is something that it is going to be able to be extremely good at. I've watched a number of very significant people this year who have, this week, who have said that by the end of this year, AI will be better than humans at coding. And that's the end of it. And then, we go on. It's a little bit like how AI became better at chess 15 years ago with Deep Blue or 20 years ago, or whatever it was. That will actually happen. And I think what that will mean is that some people are like, oh, our software developers going to be out of jobs. Absolutely not. If anything, I think it will be the opposite, because when these technologies essentially get democratized, the demand for them goes up very significantly, because the barrier to entry to building an app goes down very, very significantly. I have lots of app ideas in my head, but I don't really want to spend 50 grand on them to figure out if they're going to work or not. But I might spend 2 grand or 1 or, something like that. So I think what's going to happen very, very soon is that everyone's going to be able to essentially just build any app they want. It'll stream it to you in real time. They will be very dynamic. And also it's going to affect the existing market quite significantly. I come from enterprise software, where every single large company is essentially a giant mess of horrible applications that are pieced together with sellotape and lollipop sticks. And I think that will change, because now we're going to be able to vibe code our way into replacing old applications and into building better integrations and into improving software, which is something that's been very, very difficult.
It's exciting time indeed. And yeah, so it was the Anthropic CEO himself, Dario Amodei, who mentioned like he thinks like in 2025, 90% of code would be written by AI.
Yeah.
Honestly, Colin, I tried. I'm not a coder by any mean, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like any other one who graduated 20 years ago from college in computer engineering. So this is
Okay.
how much my knowledge is in coding. Like I don't call myself a coder,
Yeah.
but you're pretty much right, because what I have seen so far, and even so people who follow, for example, I know like the vibe coders, they hang out on X, right? Or
Yeah.
on Twitter previously. So majority of them, they have been in coding for quite some time. So this is
Yes.
why I think they are doing fantastic jobs. I tried the tools, including many, right? Without mentioning any names. Some of them really, yeah, they bring you a working app. I'm not saying no, but if you look at the code, and again, I'm not a coder by any mean, I can see, yeah, it's like a heavy code, right? Like it's writing thousands of lines, and I'm not sure, like, really, did we wanted thousands of lines? But yeah, to your points, the bar is getting lower, and this is
Yeah.
allowing people to, So anyone can now, at least I would say, they can develop their own MVPs. Let's say, like let's call it.
Exactly. And isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? I mean, you can now, instead of going out and hiring an agency and in a team of 6 or 12 people and taking months, now you can knock something together with, my buddy Mehmet, who has a little bit of experience from a while ago, and we can just spend the weekend kind of knocking something up. I also follow quite closely this coding community on X. I don't know if you know Manus McKay. I've been following him for a really long time. Manus, I think it was 3 years ago, he didn't know how to code, and he started teaching himself kind of right a long time as some of these tools started coming out, and now he's knocking out some amazing things. And I think that, I have a son, okay? He's 5 years old, and in a few years, he's going to be building his own apps. You know what I mean? He's a little bit young now, but it's just going to become so accessible. And I think things will change a little bit because, I mean, we have apps for everything already, but that's just going to go into a different level. But what I'm more excited about is these dynamic apps, where if you don't like the way it works, you can ask the app to change and do something else. That's a dream for me. I bang my head off the wall all the time about how a certain piece of software works and I don't like it and why did they design it like this. They're going to be very, very flexible and dynamic, and I think that's amazing. But it will enable, like you said, it will enable people to knock up MVPs very simply and then potentially launch businesses in a soft launch way without spending a fortune, without spending 6 months. Because the most important in the startup the most important thing is market validation and product market fit. And too many people, and I've done it myself as well, you think you've got the best idea in the world, you put in a ton of work over many, many months, you build something, and then you can't sell it. What people are doing now is they're getting an idea, knocking up a prototype, getting it out there onto X, seeing the feedback. Okay, they don't like this, we're going to change it that way. And you're able to dynamically build this product according to what, the market reaction is and things like that. And just while it's in my head, yesterday, Elon Musk tweeted, "What don't you like about X? What do you want changed or improved?" He said, give as much detail and data as possible in the replies. And obviously, he got tens of thousands of replies. It doesn't take a genius to work out what he's going to do. He's going to scrape all that data. He's going to use AI to analyze it. He'll probably do it a couple more times. And then they will use that to see the real world feedback of what the important people on X, who are the vibe coders or are the Ilya Sutskever's or whatever it is, will do. And that is what they will do. And to me, I think that is incredible because I think that's kind of the way all software is going to go. I haven't been involved in a huge amount of software projects, but I have worked for software companies and I kind of know how it works. And sometimes it can be terribly done and really awfully put together where the people building the software don't actually really truly understand the mentality of the people using it. And I think all of that is going to change.
Absolutely. And, again, people might say Grok is another moment. We're talking about Elon Musk and X and all the things that's happened because
Yeah.
it's really, it surprises me. Like when I ask someone which tools are you using and someone tells me only ChatGPT maybe, and say, "Oh, you're missing a lot." Now,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, another thing which I'm gonna go from it to the Web3 world with you, Colin, agents, AI agents, and like this is actually what you are focusing on today for a use case which is related to the blockchain and Web3. But AI agents, now we saw attempts before, and I remember, and I was still new to this podcast as well. I was doing solo episodes. Um, and I saw, the first attempts of Auto GPT and
Yeah.
Baby AGI and all the
Yeah.
other open source and community-based tools. And I said, okay, it's very early, but these guys are up to something. And all of a sudden, everyone starts to talk about AI agents. What's your take? What are we trying to achieve with these agents?
So I've been actively writing about agents for quite a long time. a year. No, actually, it must be at least 18 months because I'm in my current role a year. And I've noticed a massive turnaround in the last 3 months where all of a sudden now people are really taking agents seriously. So let me first define what I believe is an AI agent. It is an autonomous piece of software that can operate independently to complete meaningful work. By that, I mean goal-oriented tasks. There are lots of bots out there who can do one. An AI agent can do multiple tasks, but you give it a goal. It, like ChatGPT will go, here's all the different things that need to be done. Will often do it. It can use logic and you can use reason. It can problem solve and actually learn from its mistakes. But then it can use tools, and that's the most exciting part of that. So you will, by the end of this year, I believe there will be agents where you'll connect all your apps, your Gmail, your Slack, your WhatsApp, all your different messaging, and then probably lots of different business apps as well. And you will tell it to go and do something, and it will go and do it, and it'll come back when it's complete. And sometimes that task will take a minute, and sometimes it could take an hour, and eventually they'll be doing tasks that'll be taking days, I believe. Now, so to me, I believe that AI agents will bring AI to life. And what I mean by that is that AI is fantastic now. We've had AI for 10 years built into applications and things like that. Then we have Gen AI, which brings in ChatGPT. And as remarkable and transformational as it is still an empty box that you type a question and you get an answer in text. And as incredible as it is, because it's got the whole worlds of human knowledge in there, that's kind of all it is. It doesn't actually do anything. Now, when you ask it to make an image or a video, that's kind of doing something a little bit more. But when it's going to be able to reserve me a hotel, book a flight, and then tell me the best restaurants to go to within my budget and taste, that's a bit better, and that's coming very, very, very soon. But also, it'll be able to automate a whole load of things in your actual life. Okay, and I'm writing a book about this at the moment. Because I believe the people who will stay ahead of the game here using AI agents, I believe it'll take away a lot of the drudgery, the repetition, and the stuff that we don't like doing. Like, say, for example, yesterday I spent a really long time updating all my notes in CRM, and I hate doing that. And most sales guys do, but I think that'll all be automated. You will have a digital personal assistant who will listen to everything that's going on your phone and your computer. It'll know everything that's happening in your business. It'll know every call that is happening, and it'll prompt you to, to follow up with that guy or to go through your task list, or it will, write that brief that you talked about on the call and send it to the customer automatically. So the world's the oyster here for these sort of things. It'll start slow and it'll start to really, get better with its abilities. But AI agents are very, very close now. They're really coming, and it's going to be transformational. The other one I would notice that I would mention, which I'm sure you've used, which I think is amazing, is the deep research. So deep research is built into Grok, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek, and a couple of others. I've been playing around with this a lot, and I find it not perfect, but pretty damn amazing. And yesterday I just wanted to buy something, and instead of, I was just looking for the best price on a very simple item, and instead of me going to 10 or 20 websites, and I just got Grok to do it, and it went, and it's fantastic. It's showing you what it's doing and what it's thinking, and then when I found me the best place to purchase this item at the best price with free delivery, where it can be here tomorrow. That I think is really, really cool, and that's kind of the first iteration of these, highly usable agents that are super simple. It just goes off and do it in the background. The whole computer use thing where it will actually take over your browser and start using things, that will get remarkably better in the next couple of months, and by the end of the year we'll be using it. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned deep research and all of them. Like I tried the three exact ones you just mentioned, Colin, because I think this is what is available, at least for us. So when I was skeptical at the beginning about what I was reading for people who get the early access first, and then once I started to use, Grok, and Gemini surprised me how good it is. And I think
Yeah.
this is the edge of Google having all the web content under their fingertips, right? So,
This is
um,
exactly it. I mean, when ChatGPT came out, everyone went, "Oh, Google's dead, blah, blah, blah." Rubbish, because guess what? Google has all of our data. It's got 20 years of my search history, my photos, my maps, but like it has everything. It knows everything about me. Whereas ChatGPT only knows what I've actually told it. Now, they're two very different pieces of data, I would say. But dear God, I think everyone knows that Google probably knows you better than your bloody wife does about your preferences and your likes and dislikes and where you like to spend your time. I mean, YouTube. If you want to get to know me, just look at my YouTube history. I mean, it's not very surprising it's all AI, because that's all I do. But that's the advantage that they have. I use Gemini because it's built into my phone. I have like a One Plus, and I just hold this button and it does this. And then I go, "Oh, tell me about the latest, things going on in AI today, whatever it is." And it does that. It's amazing. I use Grok a lot because Grok is built into Twitter. And if it's something up to date I need, it is brilliant at doing that. And I would find things. If I wanted to, ask about one of your previous guests and the statistic that they brought up, it can search previous transcriptions on YouTube. It's amazing. I don't think people realize the stuff that it can do, but then again, maybe they wouldn't find as much value in it as I do because I do these things all of the time. Haven't used I haven't used DeepSeek a lot, just a little bit.
yeah,
Um, the problem is with ChatGPT, I'm so locked in because I've spent 2 years pumping it full of my data. I record all my calls. I think I told you this last time. I record all my calls, I transcribe them, and I put them into ChatGPT, and I create a database of my business. So it knows everything. And then I can ask it to spit stuff out. I'm working on kind of multiple startup ideas right now. So I just brainstorm for 20 minutes and stick it in. And then I got on a call with my buddy and we do it and I put it in again. And then I get it to output new ideas and suggest new ways of thing or new, it's remarkable. It is outsourcing your brain to it, a bigger digital brain. And I don't think most people have fully grasped that yet, but I think it will become much more obvious. And the last thing I'll say is I've been waiting for, I don't know how long, on the delivery of something called the limitless pendant. So it's a little thing that goes around here and it's essentially a microphone, but it's on 24/7. It listens to everything. What that means is that the AI will have full context of your life. So instead of you typing into an AI, "Okay, I'm working on the business idea and we're going to be doing this thing. And, what do you think?" Or, "Hey, I'm, looking for this, whatever it is." It already knows. And it's heard all the conversations and it's like, "Well, I heard you mention that thing there. So actually I went and I found this and I put this together for you." That is what actually makes me most excited about where this is going. And I've said this for a long time. There will be a race to essentially get as much possible data of your own personal opinions and data into an AI, because the more you do, the better the outcomes will be.
right. Of course, we're gonna hear a lot of people having some, I would say, constraints with the privacy issues. But honestly, you know what? I tell people, guess what? Like already you gave you I'm not advocating
That's
for
already listening to you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I tell people, okay, but guess what? Like exactly I give the phone example, I give the Netflix example, I give the Amazon example. I said, guys, like really already, majority of the companies they know what you do. Like you don't even have to talk sometimes, like your activities on the internet would put that. Now, saying, all these things about the AI, the deep research and all this, how all that intersect, Colin, with Web3 and the blockchain.
So I believe that AI is coming to solve an awful lot of problems in Web3, but I also believe that Web3 is coming to solve an awful lot of problems in AI. They're essentially a very happy marriage of two technologies that will come together to create something significantly better. So what we in Griffin do is we enable any Web3 app like a wallet or a dApp or a DEX or anything like that to come to our marketplace to find a whole host of different AI agents and to integrate it into their own app or technology to make things significantly easier. So it can help with customer onboarding, customer journey, customer service, but it can also do significantly more complicated things like make transactions or automatically make transactions. So you might, create a trading bot. We have a product called the transaction execution agent, and it's literally like ChatGPT for your wallet. You connect your wallet, you can talk to it. You can just ask it to make transactions or do some research on where the best staking opportunities are, or help to, decide what coins to invest in. So there's a lot of really cool stuff there. And then there's an awful lot of projects that are out there in the world of Web3 just bolting on AI and calling themselves an AI project. And I think everyone's pretty clear on that. But there's also a lot of really fantastic AI projects that are out there trying to solve the problems of just the sheer high learning curve to getting into DeFi and to becoming proficient with it, and just the bad usability. Web3 is known for bad usability because the entire ecosystem is way too focused on the underlying tech. Oh yeah, and we're using the blockchain and we're on this layer one and our TBS is this, but no one gives a shit. People only care about, why is this piece of software better for me to use? Does it solve my problem? Does it provide me a better user experience? That is where AI is going to come in and fix an awful lot of things for Web3.
That's interesting. Again, and I was checking the website. So you have these kinds of personas or like avatars, within the agent. So you can give the agent kind of a personality to act on a specific topic, which is super cool. And again, like it's bringing a character, or let's say uh, something that we can visualize, right? So it's like we can visualize this agent, because if today I'm speaking about, let's say, Manus, right? Uh, Other than the videos that we've seen of people using it and seeing, people just
Yeah.
typing a prompt and then we see something working by itself. So it's like having it as if it was a, robot maybe, but please, in a virtual sense, I'm speaking like this. So, and speaking of this, Colin, um, so you mentioned there is a lot of problems in blockchain that AI can solve and vice versa. Now, one of the things usually people, especially when it comes to the Web3 and that domain, is, the amount of, and especially you talked about NFTs, and we saw also like recently in the blockchain domain, or let's say like the crypto domain, these what they call them, the meme coins and all this. Is there
Yeah.
anything like AI can help, also people when they decide, for example, to go for a specific new project, or maybe if they're gonna go and I don't know, support a specific meme coin or something like that? Is that something also that would AI would help in?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what does AI do very well? It ingests large volumes of data, it summarizes and understands it, and then, spits something out the other end. So that's very, very applicable for the world of meme coins, because I'm not a meme coin guy. I'm not a DGen, DeFi head or anything like that, but I do know lots of people who are. And they will spend their time on 6 or 7 main websites to pull together the various different data. And then they'll have lots of other different places. And then they'll be on X and they'll be on Discord and they'll be on Telegram and things like that. AI can essentially pull together all of that data and provide some outcomes to you in a specified format that is helpful for you. So we're building something called the meme coin hunter. So it goes and, it can look at trends. Meme coins tend to be flash in the pan. Most of them are spike up and they're down within 24 to 48 hours. There's a few like Dogecoin and Dog with Han Pepe and a few others that have kind of lasted, but the ones that are launching on Solana every second these days, they tend to be, up and down. So it can look at certain trends that are going on TikTok, and then a meme coin that's launching that has suddenly got support from some reasonably well followed influencer, and you might be able to ride the wave there. But, it's degenerate gambling, and that's kind of it. I sort of do hope the meme coin thing will pass. It's not going to die. It's not going to go away. It's part of the nomenclature now. I mean, that's it. But I sort of kind of hope, and I hoped this before the meme coin thing came off, that projects with real solid utility and use case will be the ones that'll do well. I was proven wrong on that. My hope is that eventually things will turn around and we'll see the good projects, sail.
Right. Now, on another important breakthrough, I would call it, which happened, and for the sake of transparency with the audience, we're recording on the 18th of March. So last week, we've seen Google bringing Gemini for robotics. And, people, again, maybe they didn't focus on it, but I see it's something really super cool there.
Oh,
And I know, like Colin, you
yeah.
you wanted to share also something regarding the robotics in general and what AI
Well,
is bringing on the table.
yeah, I mean, go look at my post from yesterday on LinkedIn. I like to update everyone on what's going on in robotics, because every week, like ChatGPT, there's another extremely impressive moment of an autonomous robot doing something pretty amazing. Now, the latest one a few weeks ago you might have seen was Figure from Brett Adcock. He had two robots. He came up to them, dumped a bag of groceries in front of them and said, "Sort this." And the two robots worked together. One of them grabbed an apple and then he handed it to the other one. And then he opened the fridge and he put it in. And then another guy grabbed a box of cookies or whatever it was and put it, in the drawer over here. And there was one amazing moment of they were handing, the two robots actually looked at each other as if to acknowledge that they're passing this thing. Very, very human. It was quite crazy. Yes, Google are getting into it. NVIDIA are building essentially an entire operating system for robots to understand the world. Because like self-driving, it's easy to get a car to self-drive on the highway. It's very difficult to get it to operate on the back streets of Bangladesh. There's just, this like curve. You can't program that. So you can't program a robot to do every single task because there's an almost infinite amount of things that it might do. But what Figure have done is they've built this operating system based on a neural net. And I've been saying this for ages. The future of computing is data into a neural net and then output. That's it. Okay, it'll do the whole thing. And they're releasing this like robotic understanding of the world neural net so that it can do anything. And you can literally show it to how to do something yourself, like you would show a friend, and it will learn. And let's not forget, with a robot, once one robot learns, they all know how to do it. So we all have this vision of AI being this like supercomputer in the sky that, will know everything and then with agents can do things. No, because actually where AGI or anything like that is really going to come to life is through, humanoid robots. It's the embodiment of this AGI. And I was driving along in the car thinking about this yesterday. I was like, we are going to have, I think Elon Musk says he plans to be outputting 1 million robots a year by 2027. And if he's doing that, then there'll be several, other companies doing not as much, but similar. So they're going to be everywhere very, very fast. Okay. They're only 3% the weight and complexity of a car. So they produced an awful lot. And we're going to go from, oh my God, there's a robot, or oh, I saw another robot the other day, to them being everywhere in a few years. That's what's going to happen. But if you think about these robots, they're going to be, dexterous and able to do anything and help you and blah, blah, blah. But they're also going to be the most intelligent person on the planet because they'll be able to answer anything for you and they'll be able to do anything. And they've been trained on the entirety of YouTube and things like that. So, if I go on YouTube and someone goes, oh, here's a new way to redecorate your room and we can, get some wood and we can build this and we can build a banner and we can paint that. I'm not very good at that. I can't do it. But hey, my robot can. And that's just one stupid example. But we're going to very, very quickly enter a world where we're going to have these robots all over the place, and they're going to be able to do kind of almost anything we can do, within a subset of that, maybe eventually everything. And it's a terrifying thought because we're about to enter a new paradigm of a world that we can barely imagine. But I really do believe, I try not to be a doomer when it comes to AI. I think AI will take jobs. It will. Okay. It's undoubtable. It will also create more in a certain way. But I believe that eventually in 20 years' time, we're heading to a place where, you know, uh, the Industrial Revolution took away the ability, the need for us to have strength and muscles and stuff like that. And then we have, machines to do things. And then we have computers and things like that to do things faster, but it's all very task related. And now, knowledge work is going to become democratized over the next kind of 10 years and embodied into humanoid robots. And it could, I hope, bring a area of complete abundance. I mean, if you think about 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, someone had to go out and catch some birds or rabbits to cook on the fire for dinner. Now we don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? It could be the same for many other things.
Absolutely. And of course, this is debatable, the way from two sides. Like, I mean, how fast it's going to happen and, what will happen actually.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm like you, more on the optimistic side of the house, I would say. I see it. I'm not seeing it very far, by the way. I still believe that in my lifetime, I'm gonna start to see some of what you mentioned, Colin.
Yeah.
And it's not like,
I mean, look, undoubtedly in everyone's lifetimes. I mean, look, the way we talked about following the vibe coders on Twitter, I follow a lot of the what's called E/AAC, and it stands for effective acceleration. And what they mean is that there's no point in putting on the brakes of trying to control AI or trying to regulate or trying to moderate it. We may as well just go full pelt and see where it gets us. Okay. And most of these guys are basically going, well, AGI 2030 is kind of what I think 2030, 2032. But a lot of them are like, no, 2027, and they're also, I mean, every week something happens where we're like, oh my God, I did not expect that so soon. We didn't expect Sora. We didn't expect DeepSeek. We didn't expect Manus. Every month or so, we're coming out with a new, I call it a cliff. It's not just a gradual one like that. It just goes, and then all of a sudden we're there. And then we're up again. That's going to keep happening. It comes down to, let's say, the scaling laws. And if anyone doesn't know, it's basically that if you get a data center and it's got 10,000 GPUs in it, you'll get X, Y, Z. If you multiply that by 10, put 100,000, it goes up by an order of magnitude. And there doesn't seem to be any clear limit on, well, if we keep getting bigger, then it'll slow down. It will. But not only that, the models are getting more efficient. I've been saying this for ages. And then out comes DeepSeek and proves, I mean, we don't know how much, but proves that they did this chain of thought instead of using tokens, they kind of use entire sentences. I mean, they talk about, 700 billion tokens and things like that. If you take a PhD who's 60 years old, he's probably ingested about 1 billion tokens in his entire life. And I think that AIs will get the same. The models will get smaller, they'll get better, they get smarter, and everything is just going to accelerate. We're on the exponential curve now. So it's not within our lifetime, it's within this decade, we're going to see things radically change. And the next decade, it's really hard to tell because we're just not very good at predicting the future when it's going to change this much and this fast.
absolutely. And for me, also, I'm not relying only, of course, like maybe I start to act like an algorithm by myself, analyzing previous data and trying to see like I can expect things. So I'm not relying only on the breakthroughs that are coming from the technology companies alone. So I'm following, different kind of people who are in different kind of sciences. Like I'm following people who are in robotics. I'm following people who are in genetics. I'm following people who are
Yes.
in like working in labs and laboratories. And so, and I'm interested much in people who are researchers also as well, right? So the PhDs. And yeah, because, the logic says that if we keep doing what we are doing, the cliffs as you described them, Colin, some of them, they believe that AGI, it depends how you define AGI, of course, but some people, they say it's coming this year, right? So some of, and they are like, you know,
Yeah. I mean, some people think AGI is here already because we have a, box that has all of world knowledge. But look, at the end of the day, it really, really depends on what your definition of AGI is because there's no set definition. OpenAI define it as a system that can do, I think it is the majority of meaningful, valuable work, human work. Okay. That's a pretty high bar. Satya Nadella came out the other day and he goes, I'll tell you when AGI is here when we're getting 10% GDP growth every single year. Okay. That's a very sort of numbers and growth phase based one. For me, it's when I'm going to be able to have a computer use style thing that'll sit on my desktop, watch it, and start doing my job. Okay, and start doing lots and lots of
yeah,
other people's jobs. In the fact that but what happens then? What happens when someone releases a piece of software and hey, OpenAI are already talking about $20,000 a month agents that'll do the job of a PhD researcher. Okay, but that's the but you and I, the job we do, or anyone like us, it's a very different job than a PhD researcher where they're just like working through a series of,
true.
problems and outputting a piece of thing. I don't know. Well, what do we do? Thousands of different things every day. It's not really easy automatable. But someone will just come out with a thing and it's like, right, here's your marketing team in a box.
Hmm?
$5,000 a month, 10 grand a month, 100 grand a month, whatever it is. And it will take your startup and it will just do everything. Because marketing is quite a established process. And, there's all of the different things, there's all of the different tools. And so that's kind of doable. You know what I mean? Um, is it going to take the job of podcaster? No, I don't want to. I don't want to watch an AI podcaster.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Behind me here, I used to be a DJ. I still play around a little bit. Okay, AI has been able to DJ for 10 years. Are you going to pay money to go and see a computer play songs? No. We still need the human element in this. That's kind of the important thing. But there's a lot of people in government jobs and low-end administratorial jobs who are just pushing pencils around and doing administration and bureaucracy and things like that, that AI will be able to do a ton of their jobs. And so what happens then when it's not like everyone's going to lose their job at the moment. If we got 15% unemployment over a period of 6 months, the world will turn upside down.
Yeah, right. This is why I tell people about, back to the point of getting skilled using these AI tools. There's another thing which I say is, I think we have abundance in AI currently that sometimes I feel people, they are not even aware where they can use it. So um,
Mm.
probably, at some stage, I gotta, leave this as thought for food. So at some stage, you remember back in the late 90s, beginning 2000s, where people, they used to put on their resumes like as proficiency in um
Typing.
Microsoft Word and Excel and
Yeah.
using Windows. I don't know. It was XP at that time, maybe. So it's gonna be like, they should show proficiency in using AI
Yeah.
tools. You wanted to say something, Colin?
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, people might put a prompt engineering on their CV today because it is a skill that not everyone has, that if you're good at it, you can get the maximum out of AI. And it's exactly the same as, you people used to be able to use Word or typing going back a bit further. I believe that AI has to change and evolve to become more human. And what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is if I called you up and I said, Mehmet, you're an expert in pitch decks for startups. What are the elements of a good pitch deck? What's the first thing you'd say to me? Well, you would ask me some qualifying questions. You'd go, well, I know, I'm sure. I don't know. What's the business? What's a Series A, seed? It has to qualify. AI
Right.
really doesn't do that very much anymore. It just gives you an answer. However, I will say I have noticed that OpenAI Deep Research does come back now and ask you some clarifying questions,
Right.
gives you a thing like, oh, it asks you, okay, do you mean about that or do you mean about that? And I've got caught a couple of times because I hit enter and then I go off and do something else. Come back 10 minutes later and it's just asked me a question. So it's starting to do that because, you know, I've always been a big proponent of voice in AI. I think in certain circumstances, certainly not all, and not even just a small part, but I think voice will be amazing because it is the preferable mode of communication for humans and has been for thousands of years. You know what I mean? The conversation. On my LinkedIn, I call myself a storyteller because I think it's a really important trait. The conversation has gone back thousands of years before the written word, and I think AI will become just like your digital friend and your digital buddy, and you'll ask it a question, and it'll ask you questions again, and it'll confirm before sort of giving the answer. Right now, it just spits out an answer the best it can with the little information it has. So that's a change. The other thing that I think is we're going to have AI personalities. Because if I had a question about pitch decks, I'd call you. If I have a question about financial analysis models, I'd call, my other friend over here. Now, obviously, I know that AI is AI and it has all of the data, but sometimes you want a different answer depending on the type of person you want to ask, if that makes sense. So it's like the way I go to Grok for one question today and I go to OpenAI for another, and even the different models. I think we're going to have like conversational avatars that one guy will be, hey, if you just want some superfluous information on the stock market. And another one will be if you want to have a deep philosophical chat about the meaning of life. And then if you want to talk about celebrity gossip, you go talk to Paris Hilton. And if you want to talk about sports, you'll talk to Tom Brady. I use those examples because Facebook about a year ago came out with exactly that, but they never fulfilled it. I do think that is coming. And little by little, bit by bit, we're just going to ingrain AI into everything we do. And the next step, maybe not this year, but certainly next year, is you're going to have a pair of glasses almost identical to the ones you are wearing right now. And you'll just go tap, tap. Hey, remind me to do that thing, but also send that email to Mehmet and go do some research on this new thing. And it'll do it. And it'll be listening all of the time. It can see as well. And we will become like cyborgs.
Right. It's exciting time. No doubt that we are living. You know, like every time I witnessed, I would say another breakthrough. I was so excited. I said, "Yeah, this is the moment." But this time I can feel it very, really different because it's simplifying. Life. I'm going a little bit philosophical here, and I think what AI is doing. I mean, all the use cases that. Well, by the way, even the vibe coders, they're proving a point that like, oh my god, like how much have we complicated things on ourselves, like because AI, one of the things which is because of the way it's programmed, it tries to optimize, tries to get you the shortcuts, of course, and tries to automate. And then you figure out, oh my god, like you just mentioned, for example, people who are like still working as clerks and filling things with pen and paper, like look how much we could have had fun instead of hammering ourselves in these repetitive nonsense tasks sometimes. And now this is why I'm excited about the age of AI and everything AI is bringing to us. Colin, like really very, very rich conversation, I would say. As we're coming to an end, any final
Yeah.
thoughts? Any, you mentioned about LinkedIn. I'm gonna put the link there, but if you want also to guide the audience also as well, something.
Yeah. And the only final thoughts would be the question that always comes up is something to do with, do I have to be afraid of AI? Is it going to replace me? Is it going to take my job and things like that? Okay. The answer is maybe if you bury your head in the sand and do absolutely nothing. Okay. But I can promise you that if you do try to stay ahead or close to what's going on, be aware of some of the tools that are coming out that you can use. And, you know, there's basically very, very few right now, apart from ChatGPT and things like that. I mean, the agents or whatever, but they're coming en masse very fast. And if you just try to get an understanding of what's available, play around with them and start using them, start, exploring and experimenting to save you time, to automate things that you do. If you get into that mindset, you will be so far ahead of 99% of people out there, pretty much, that you really have nothing to worry about. This is myself and a friend of mine are writing a book about exactly this right now, because I think this time is coming. The gap between people who use AI and don't is going to widen really fast. So be on this side of it, don't be on that side. That's kind of what I would say. And okay, it's easy for me because I'm a big nerd and I just love this stuff. And not a lot of other people are much more concerned about watching football than AI videos. But it will be fairly ubiquitous in coming out into software applications. AI is software 2.0, I call it. It's going to take over absolutely everything. So from your business's perspective, I mean, the CEO of IBM came out and said the future of, successful businesses is those with the best adaptation of AI strategy and tools. So if you're a small business or anything like that, whether you're an employee or whatever, my advice is to just do your best to try and keep up to date with what's going on, using these tools and experimenting and integrating them into your own process, workflows, and life as you can. And you definitely won't regret it. It will be a really fun thing to do. It will save you time and give you more time back to do the things you want to do, your hobbies, spend time with your family, etc. Not, working 60, 70-hour weeks. And that's what I hope it comes to in the end, that we can all kind of work less and get more done and just, get these AI bots and computers and robots to do most of the work for us, where we focus on actually living.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the LinkedIn profile at the beginning, Colin. I'm gonna put it in the show notes so people can follow you and
Thank you.
reach out to you also as well. And really, it was very engaging and interesting discussion with you today. So thank you very much for your time.
Always a great conversation with you, Mehmet. Let's catch up for a coffee in Dubai at some stage as well.
Absolutely. And this is how usually I end my podcast. This is for the uh, audience. Guys, if you just discovered us, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed. If you did so, please give us a thumb up and subscribe, share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the people who keep coming again and again, thank you very much for all your support. I'm repeating it since the beginning of this year. Because of your support, because you're following, what happened this year is something magical. For the first time, I've been doing this for the past 2 years and a half almost. Now the podcast is trending in the top 200 chart in multiple countries at the same
Amazing.
time. So this is, thank you. And also, we've been selected as one of the best to listen business podcasts here in Dubai. We are in the top 45 and ranking around 15 now. So thank you very much. So this is also couldn't happen without all your support. And as I say, always stay tuned for a new episode very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.